Hi, I'm Tommy.
Hi, and I'm Hans, and it's Christmas.
Merry Christmas! I don't know what camera I'm looking in.
All of them.
Merry Christmas! It feels properly like we're doing a Christmas special, like on the telly, in that it's not Christmas.
For all our fans. Don't fucking ruin the continuity of it.
Yeah, but everyone knows, like when they're there on QI and Stephen Fry's wearing a Christmas hat and there's a little elf sat on his desk. I don't think I've ever seen it. But don't think they're not filming that in August.
And they always have a little throwaway like, oh yeah, no, when this goes out tomorrow, Thursday. No, we're not like that. This is live on Christmas Day. It's Jools Holland.
Yeah, oh no, that's not New Year. That's not Christmas. That's New Year.
That's what I mean, but it's live.
Right. Doctor Who's live as well.
It's not live, is it? It's pre-recorded, Jules, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing's real.
Which is weird because they actually make a big song and dance
about it being real.
They actually do a countdown.
Yeah. Well, it's our
3, 2, 1.
It's our version of the what's his face in America, the Bill, not Bill.
Bill Paxton.
Bob.
Bill Friedkin.
Bob
Hope. What are you talking about?
They have a guy in America who's like the New Year's Eve guy, and he does the show every year. It's like our version of Jules, but it's
never be
probably
Jules.
bigger because it's.
Has he got a neck? Jules is USP. And next is Pomo for Pyros.
Hey, lovely band.
It's not New Year. We'll save this top quality New Year bands for
sure.
New Year. It's not a hootenay.
Well, this already is.
This is Christmas.
It's Christmas. Happy Christmas. I hope you're having a nice time.
Yeah, I am. I'm in Australia.
I hope you're having a non-phenomenal nice time.
Festivus,
seasonal holiday time.
Yeah, I hope you're all sitting around your Festivus pole and singing songs.
Yeah. So,
but I am in Australia, and you are.
I'm haunting this house. I've been dead for 100 years.
It's been dead for 100 years, which is a heartwarming Christmas tale.
A heartwarming.
You're an orphan.
Yeah.
We said we would do this episode slightly more freeform. It has gone way too freeform.
Yeah. So as a break from the norm, we're not talking about a specific movie or game. We are going to be talking about Christmas films. Having a chat. So it's going to be a bit ambly and a bit rambly and a bit all over the shop.
Yeah, but we've got non-mulled wine because, let's be honest, it's nicer than mulled wine. There's a thing about Christmas where you pretend things are better because they're Christmassy. Christmas pudding is the worst pudding. Have any other pudding.
I disagree with you about mulled wine, but...
No, mulled wine is nice. I'm not saying mulled wine is bad.
You basically got to be outdoors with like a coat on and oh, this is nice.
And it isn't better.
Mulled cider is nice.
I don't like cider, but I like mulled cider. So... Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Mulled cider is better than real cider.
Tune in next week.
Where we talk about...
some other kind of drink. Right. So, because it's Christmas, we decided that it would be nice to get each other some little Grimbo gifts.
Are we doing the gifts first?
Yeah, I think let's get them out of the way, shouldn't we?
Yeah, get them out of the way. What a lovely way of phrasing it.
Well, yeah.
Okay, who's going first?
Well,
we toss for it. Or he'll go first. That wasn't an innuendo.
So I've got you a continuity-breaking gift.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Now, you were, before we started filming, you started to make a comment about the wrapping paper.
So basically, about 3 or 4 years ago...
This is making me very festive, isn't it? I've got a manila envelope.
No, but everyone likes postage paper. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I bought like an industrial scale size roll of brown postage paper. I think this is literally, it was probably like 2013, and it still hasn't run out. And it's every gift I give to anyone is done in that wrapping paper.
Do you have this conversation?
Sometimes, no. So sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, I'll do like some string, like in a.
That's nice.
In a classic postage situation. However, this was less. I had less time.
Okay. That's absolutely fine.
I'll be honest. We said like last week, let's do Christmas presents, and this was Amazon Prime nowed to me this afternoon.
That is impressive. Yours was Amazon Primed, but not Amazon Primed now.
No, I ran out of time in a quite a bad way.
I don't get Amazon Prime now, so la-di-da, it doesn't come out to the sticks.
Then your Christmas present is just partly that, isn't it? The experience of having something that was in a factory earlier today.
I got my 3DS Amazon nowed to me while I was at work, and the idea that someone just brought me a 3DS in a brown paper bag it's probably the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me.
I've done this twice with consoles. I bought a PS4 on Prime Now and a Switch on Prime Now. And both times the delivery guy has looked at me like, why do you need this console so quick? Like, basically you go, oh, my wife's away.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. To me, Amazon Prime Now has two uses. Getting a console or... The only other time I've used it twice. Once to get a 3DS because it's an impulse buy, right?
Yeah,
and you shouldn't have bought it
right now.
You don't need it, but you don't need it now.
Yeah, always the stuff that you don't need, you want the quickest.
Yeah. And the only other time I've used Amazon Prime Now was to order an umbrella because it started raining.
That's obscene. That's like a dystopian nightmare of like that's a Black Mirror episode.
You should have seen the faces of everyone else at work who didn't have an umbrella. And I was like, oh, it started raining.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I felt very good. Anyway, I'm going to open this. All right, let's go. I don't know what camera's got me. But we can rate each other's unwrapping methods as well. I tend to unwrap rather than tear.
I've got, just before you go further, so yours, I've seen yours. It looked like it was a box-shaped thing, which says to me it's going to be something quite nice.
Well, let's.
This is not a nice. It's quite shit.
This is not a nice present.
It's quite a shit present.
We set each other a cost limit. Should we say that?
Yeah, I undercut that somewhat.
Okay, that's fine. £10 was the limit.
Yeah.
That's £10. So just to quickly do a little bit of maths for people around the world, £10 is roughly $10 and also €10. Thanks, Brexit.
But in a way...
This is like Tristram Shandy. Eventually I'll open this.
But in a way, because I paid for the 1 hour delivery, I paid more than a tenner in real life. In real money.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what's going on here. What this is... It's an Australian... Can you see this one? Australian hat.
Show it to that camera.
Australian hat. Australian hat. Got coverage there.
Why is that?
Because actually for Christmas, I'm not really here. I'm in Australia.
Yeah, this is what I mean by saying it's a kind of slightly continuity breaking present.
But I already ruined it. I mean, I love it already just for the way they've just called it Australian hat.
Yeah, it's an SEO win.
Chapeau Australien, it says on it.
I wonder what chapeau means.
If it means hat, that's too long of a word. French people out there, I'm assuming that's French.
Candice had initiative, wants to have a word with you.
It's also, not only is it a continuity breaking present, but it's also a hair breaking present as well, isn't it?
It's also a microphone ruining present.
There's also no way this is going to fit me because I have a massive, massive head. Do I actually... I mean, how's that look?
It's like you're in Australia.
Yeah?
Mate.
Oh, I'm already there, mate.
Struth.
Oh, when's my Sheila home?
Now, I know that you're a big fan of, like, minimal packing.
That's what I was just going to ask.
But I want a picture of you wearing this hat in Australia.
That will happen.
I mean, it's quite a thin object, so you can get that.
I can make that happen.
Get that in your hand.
This probably weighs more than the rest of my luggage. But I assume the corks. Were corks there to stop flies?
I don't know what this is about. Maybe.
I mean, was it ever a real thing?
No, I think it was like what Americans think.
Or what we think. Why Americans?
Because they made Crocodile Dundee.
Okay.
It's all their fault.
So, but it doesn't have... Because I was watching this programme, a travel show a while ago, and there was an episode on Australia, and I saw the most Australian thing ever, which was a farm in the outback, and there was a fence to stop dingoes coming into the farm. And the way that they would stop the dingoes coming into the farm was tying empty beer cans to a fence that rattled in the wind. And I was just like, that is the most Aussie thing I've ever seen. Was just some guy going, this will keep out the dingoes, mate.
I got loads of these empties lying around.
I mean, stereotypes are bad, but they're also...
True.
They come from a truth.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, stereotypes come from a truth. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Because we're uptight and have terrible teeth.
So people must wear those hats.
Yeah.
So they'll be right at home.
And I will wear them.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thank you very much.
You don't have to wear it for the rest of this episode. Just so you know.
Should I or not?
No, because you're ruining the Christmassy vibe for me.
Well, how do you think I'm going to feel on Christmas in Australia wearing this?
But that's the thing, when you're in Australia, like I just assume it's like anti-land and everything is like non-Christmassy.
This is also very...
You can't have a... I went to Lanzarote a few years ago, like in December, and they had like a Christmas tree in the middle of like town.
Yeah, I've had that in Thailand.
It was like a billion degrees. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's not you can't... No, just do something else.
I've never been in Thailand for Christmas, but I've been there kind of for my birthday and in December time, and yeah, there's kind of like lit up reindeers in the street, and it's like, no, this isn't right. I mean, they don't even celebrate Christmas.
It's just appropriation, isn't it?
Misappropriation. But then I celebrate Christmas because I love pigs in blankets and I'm not religious.
No, I celebrate it because I'm a pagan.
Right. So here's your gift. This has got.
So this is instantly a lot more like uniform box shaped. Like it's got a vibe about it that says to me it's a media product.
It's got wrapping paper on it, not the brown universal wrapping paper, but there is nothing Christmassy about this wrapping paper. I would say that is textbook birthday wrapping paper.
Burton-esque.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't had an argument on camera yet. We'll do that for a future episode. Merry Christmas.
Thanks. Ooh. It's definitely a book. Thanks.
Reading
a book? You've taped this up, so what's wrong with you?
I'm actually terrible at wrapping.
You need one bit of tape there and one bit of tape there. This has got like sort of Fort Knox all the way around it.
It's the Guantanamo Bay of...
Right. I feel like this is quite a thoughtful gift, and I feel bad.
No, it's fine. I spent a whole 15 minutes thinking about this.
Unless, because there was a dark period of time where I was like literally looking at our bookshelf at home, going, "Which one of those could I just give as a gift?"
I've done it before.
Yeah, well, we've all regifted. It's fine.
And this may be regifted. Yeah.
That is a good gift. This is Total Recall, the Arnie story. Now, I guess the story behind this, or the inspiration for this, is that I'm quite a large Arnie fan.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. In a succinct manner.
More succinct than Arnie will tell you why in that book. I was surprised to see this was 600 odd pages.
More succinct than in 600. There's a diagram.
It's explaining the plot of Terminator 3.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the most successful human being that has ever lived.
Continue.
So, Arnold Schwarzenegger grew up in the middle of like fucking nowhere, and then said, "I want to be Miss Universe," and then he was in like the most profound way that competition has ever been. Then he went, "Oh, I want to be an actor," and he was in the most profound way that to the time
probably the biggest film star of the 80s
that had ever been. Like, you know, in terms of like money and in terms of earnings and in terms of like fame. Then he went, "I want to go into like government," and because of his sort of like status as an immigrant, he couldn't be the president, but he probably was the most highest ranking government official that you can be in the US without being like vice president or president.
I actually think if it wasn't for that rule in the Constitution, he may very well be president or have been president now.
Yeah, well, bear in mind we live in a world where The Rock is now talking about being president.
Yeah.
Which I can totally see happen if Donald Trump can be president. Why not?
Yeah.
It's a mad popularity contest. Anyway, yeah, that's a really good president.
But apparently, so obviously you get these autobiographies. This is written by Arnold Schwarzenegger, I assume, with help, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I have actually heard that this is actually really entertaining. And I know it's like, oh, okay, I like Arnie, but that's a 600-page book. But apparently he's quite open and quite honest about his arrogance and his determination. And I think I've heard there's actually quite a lot of good kind of ruthless, Trump-esque, but in a much nicer way, business advice in there. There's a lot of him being quite honest about how brutal he's been in the past.
Okay, so if this was like real life and we weren't being videotaped now, and you just give me this gift, I'd be like, oh, thanks, that's really good.
Yeah.
Thanks. I've listened to the audiobook of this book.
Okay, all of it?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Because I actually thought for a second, well, that's interesting you say that, because I actually thought maybe you read this book, or maybe you've got it, but then I thought, do people actually read these autobiographies of celebrities? So that's what made me think, oh, it's worth the gamble.
So I was doing a period of like, because I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm like running, and I was doing a training for some sort of like half marathon or something. Half marathon I don't do. He does a marathon, I don't do marathons.
You wouldn't think it. Not wearing the hat.
Take the hat off.
Yeah, but I'm worried about continuity now.
Take the hat off now. You can do. You don't have to, but I just thought.
I'm taking it off now.
I just feel like you're uncomfortable.
No, it's fine.
I'll keep it on then.
Oh, let's put it back on. That's got to go around your front.
So, I was doing training for like a run, and I was listening to it. And what's really fucking brilliant about this book, as an audiobook, is Arnie narrates the first like 40 minutes.
I was going to ask that. That was my first question.
And the last 40 minutes, and then
assuming no one's going to listen to the middle.
At just an arbitrary point, a chapter ends, next chapter starts, and with no explanation, it's just some American guy, like not even a guy. Because a mate of mine listens to a lot of like autobiographies, and he was like listening to Mike Tyson's one recently, and he was saying that Mike Tyson stops, and then there's a guy who just sounds like Mike Tyson carries on. But this guy is just like an American guy, he just takes over. However, I have listened to all of it. The first 40 minutes is brilliant because it's Arnie being unable to pronounce words that he's allegedly written.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. But it is brilliant, and like you say, there's a lot of candidness and about who, like especially
apparently he's like quite. There's got a lot of like candidness about his own family as well.
His
that he's
affairs,
quite brutal.
His affairs and stuff are quite interesting because he's like, oh, I just thought like what happened on set stayed on set, and I was like living the life, and women were coming on to me, and like he basically, he slept with like Sly Stallone's wife.
Yeah.
Just as a thing.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, before he became an actor, unpleasantness was kind of his brand. Like, I don't know whether I'm assuming, but I'm assuming you've seen the documentary Pumping Iron.
Yeah.
Where he's the villain of that film,
but
he knows it, and he's going like, "Oh, I will destroy him," and it's like I am coming when I am lifting my weights.
And there's a bit where he's like, "Oh, my father died. I didn't go to his funeral because I would have to pump the iron."
Yeah. And he's actually just got women around him, and he's like, "I am the baddie.
I'm coming in the gym, and I'm coming at home. It's like I'm coming all the time."
Yeah. But then he became. That it's amazing that he understands his brand, and then he's able to manipulate it, like, and not by accident. Like, he's a smart guy that has done that on purpose.
He's a deceptively smart guy, actually, and I know this is getting massively off like Christmassy topics, but like he's a deceptively smart guy because there is a bit in it where he talks about running for government, and someone says, "Hey, you should run for like governor of California," and he goes, "Yeah, I could do that. Actually, that's a nice idea. I'm not going to do it until I go off and basically go to college." And he basically,
I must learn to read before I become politician.
No, but he like went off and like learned. Like he spent about a year learning about politics before he like decided to throw his hat in the ring.
Yeah.
And kind of did it in quite a serious way.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's
in contrast to Trump.
And obviously, he's been a long-standing like Republican.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it, he's kind of. He forgets he's a Republican most of the time because a lot of his policies and things that tweets about now are very liberal because it's all about like renewable energy and about stuff like that.
Also, the fact that he's had this big spat with Trump because of The Apprentice and all this social media stuff has probably made him seem much more liberal as well because he's becoming a kind of anti-Trump.
What I will say is, and it's not spoilers because it's not a biography and it's not really about his life, the bit I'm going to talk about, but there's an amazing bit right at the back of the book where he goes to like a university talk, and some kind of like student goes, "Well, I like go to work, and I go to uni and I study, and then I come home and I study, and then I go to my like, part-time job and I study, and like where do I find time to like go to the gym or to do my like passion projects and stuff like that?" And Arnie goes, "There is always time." And this is the bit at the end where he is basically like reading it himself in the audiobook, which is great.
So he consciously went, okay, there's a middle bit that no one's going to listen to, but there's a bit at the end where I make a good point and I want to do that bit.
But the point is so well made because, and I'm going to do a really poor job of like paraphrasing it, but he just goes like, there was a period of my life for like 8 years where I would get up at like 4 a.m. and I'd go to the gym for like 2 hours because I wanted to be the Mr. Universe guy. Then I would work a construction job for like 8 or 10 hours. Then I'd go to the gym again for 2 hours. Then I'd go home, and he was running like a subscription magazine company out of his house.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'd do that until about midnight, and I'd go to bed, and I'd get up at 4 the next morning. And it's like, I'd do that for 8 years, basically.
I guess
there is always time, you just got to make it. And it's so, like, motivational. But he basically came from, like, one of those wooden huts in, like, Legend of Zelda. But that's, Trump, there's that stat, isn't there? The loan that his dad gave him, like if he just stuck it in a bank, he'd have more money than he has now.
He's a terrible businessman as well. That for all his other faults, Arnie is a much better businessman.
Yeah, and he's the most successful man of all time.
Yeah.
Why this is a good gift is because I have listened to it, but it's really nice to have a book on my shelf.
Yeah, because then someone will say, "Oh, have you read that?" And you'll be like, "Yeah,
yeah, I know it all." And I'm one of those people who believes that if you listen to a book, you've read the book.
No, I agree.
I think the elitism around that is stupid.
Yeah, reading is the words. Doesn't matter how
you absorb the words. So
does that mean blind people can't read? Forget rubbish.
Because I can have it on my shelf now. I didn't really point to it.
Because I just wanted to segue from Arnie into, really interesting figure that's definitely worth reading about in his own words. Did he make the greatest Christmas film of all time?
Wow.
Christmas time.
It's Christmas time. So, I guess we were going to talk about some Christmas movies and in a free-form, pubby kind of way.
Yeah. And now it feels very hard to not mention this elephant in the room. That is Jingle All The Way.
Well, so I think before this we said let's both come armed with like 5 films. Mm-hmm. It's in my 5.
Well, spoilers, it's not in my 5.
Yeah, I thought as much.
Is your 5 favourite Christmas films?
Yeah.
Okay, this has become defend Jingle All The Way. I love Arnie for what Arnie is. Yeah, I wouldn't have bought that book if I didn't.
Yeah.
And I love Arnie at his best, but Jingle All The Way, and even Arnie trying to do his sort of crap comedy, I'm not going to just totally dismiss, because Kindergarten Cop is genuinely quite a funny film and entertaining and has loads of quotable lines in it. So I'm not saying, his attempt at comedy totally didn't work. But Jingle All The Way is like a crass mess of a film that I can't even sit through. And I've tried, as an adult.
Yeah.
And I find it unwatchable.
Okay, so I probably agree with most of that. It's not a good film. And no one in the world will probably try and argue succinctly.
And if anyone would, you would. And you're not even saying that.
No, I'm not saying it's a good film. I'm saying, but like a Christmas film is a weird, like nebulous thing that, like, I think a good Christmas film or like your personal like good Christmas films are just films that get you in the mood for Christmas.
And I understand that. That's a fair point. My issue
basically, so Jingle All The Way has been like in that kind of remit for enough years for me, and because Arnie is quite a big part of my life, that I enjoy it, and it's nonsense.
So it's the film equivalent of The Clock's Going Back. There's no quality to it. It's just like, it's a bit chilly today. Must be Christmas.
Yeah, but yes, in a way, and it's probably the one on my list that I least want to talk about. But like, there is an element of a Christmas film that is like The Clock's Going Back, where like, so it's not Christmas until I watch X.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, some people go,
so do you watch that every year?
Probably, yeah.
You sit through the whole thing.
Man, I binge a lot of Christmas films over Christmas. Like,
you're probably more qualified than me for this discussion then.
Well, because there's 2 types of people. Well, no, there's 3 types of people. There are the people that like really love Christmas. There are people that really hate Christmas, and there are like sort of the ambivalent in the middle ground people.
Okay. Before you assume what one of those are, I'm going to say I really hate people that hate Christmas.
Yeah,
I love Christmas.
I love Christmas.
I do love Christmas. So I want to, and that's I don't
if
know.
If you don't love Christmas, no matter what your religion, like if you don't love Christmas, you're sort of dead inside.
Yeah,
because
it's
like
about people and being alive and family and warm.
And it's like a vibe that is like nice.
Yeah.
And
or you might have had a bad childhood. Because I think a lot of Christmas is about but it's about tapping into that feeling of being young, isn't it?
Are you trying to suggest that we are just privileged middle class white men who don't know any different?
No way. No, so actually, I don't know where you're from in internet land, but I feel like, and maybe this is just through the films that we watch, but in America there seems to be a much more universal love and appreciation of Christmas. Whereas I think there's something in the British culture is to be a little bit cynical. And I love that about British culture and British humour, and I embrace that in many ways. But I don't like the way that it's become a bit of a, every year it's just, Christmas already, like another year closer to death. Like, and Christmas is the thing that makes our crappy, cold, wet winters worth
bearable. And like that thing of like, they've already got the Christmas stuff in the shops, and it's like, well, yeah, good, it's fun, and
actually it's not getting in the way.
But I've personally been through that journey of trying to be cynical about it, because I thought that was maybe what you meant to do,
play up to that,
and you go, so in this country we have the John Lewis adverts, which are the big sort of like tentpole emotional Christmas advert.
Until Sainsbury's come along and laid down the smack down. There's a war about this every year. That was a bad use of word, because theirs was about the war.
And theirs was the best one. In the UK, I don't know what it's like in America or other places in the world, but they have like a sort of advert off about who can do the best acoustic cover of a song set to some sort of like emotional Christmas stuff between the main supermarket brands or the main shop brands.
There's nothing more Christmas than that. Every element of that. It's got the crass consumerism. It's got the heartfelt.
But this is the thing. If you don't get on board with the crass consumerism of Christmas, then you may as well not get on board with Christmas.
I'm on board with it.
Yeah, like,
you see this? I'm
is
wearing it on my head.
It's kind of the one time of the year we go, yeah, fuck it, it doesn't matter. Like, Christmassy stuff, like, it's fine. And like, I went through that thing of going, John Lewis advert again, and I've kind of almost like, I like to think I've matured out of it and gone, so they're making like nice little adverts.
Yeah.
Like, they're better than most of it. It's better than like Barry Scott going, here's like Silly Ban.
If you're not British, this is well niche.
Well, it's better
we've referenced Barry Scott.
Well, it's better. All right, it's better than like some abstract like Charlize Theron walking down the road and then here's Chanel. So at least it's
perfume ads and car ads.
Yeah,
worst.
It's become in this country. It's become like a thing to set your watch to for Christmas.
I guess the Universal, and I assume they have this in America, but it's your T-shirt started this. The Coca-Cola Holidays Are Coming.
Holidays Are Coming. And actually,
that must have been the first, because that was because they would start that quite early, and that was all. It's literally holidays are coming. It isn't they're here.
But that's permeated our country as well. Like,
no, that's what I mean. I didn't know whether that was even an American thing. I guess it must be.
No, it's American. It's an American import advert, because obviously it's like the whole Coca-Cola. Santa wears red is a Coca-Cola machine. But yeah,
I love a Coca-Cola. Me.
But to me now, I'm well in for all that stuff. Like everything that is a touch point of like Christmas, I'm like, bro, can I listen to the Christmas songs now, because I love it. Like I get really excited about it.
I don't care how many people Phil Spector murders. That Phil Spector Christmas record. Have you got that? No. If you haven't got that record, I'm going to make you a copy of it.
I'm a compilation. I'm a compilation.
No, it is a compilation. So it's like 20 songs that he produced. And it's kind of in the 60s of Christmas songs. Right. Phil Spector, who produced loads of like huge hits in the 60s. He was like the guy that invented Wall of Sound. So he's that guy. And this album is the most Christmassy thing ever. Even if you've never listened to it, you'll know most of the songs, but they're the definitive version of them. So it's things like Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree and that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sure it's just on Spotify, so rather than give it to you physically, I'll just prod you and say, like, add that to your Spotify or whatever. Yeah. But it's called A Phil Spector A Christmas Gift for You, and it is the most Christmassy hour of sound.
I mean, I love it already. Yeah. Like, that's I'm all about it, and I don't have time for people who People who don't, I think, are just trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy.
I mean, it ended up being quite a sad thing for me because it was the last thing that we ever done. But I used to be in a band, which I won't dwell on too much. But the last thing we ever did was a Christmas song. Yeah, and I really wanted to instill that as a thing we did every year.
Yeah.
Was a Christmas song. And it ended up being the last thing we ever did. But I was really quite proud of it because it was like recorded on the budget. But
it was a good song.
I just wanted to keep doing Christmassy things every year. I do like Christmas songs. Fairy Tale New York is one of the greatest songs ever written, and I hate the way that now, because there's that backlash about being cynical against Christmas, that's hit specific things. So that's hit things like Fairy Tale of New York, which people go, oh, I can't believe they're playing that. Yeah, it's one of the best songs ever written, so shut up about it.
I've got a controversial on the subject of like those things that are Christmassy that you like.
Yeah.
Movies and songs and stuff. I've got a controversial song for you. That
More than Phil Spector?
Oh, in internet terms, in cool internet terms, worse than that.
Is it female computer game journalists?
No. It's a Christmas song.
Yeah.
That is bad. In cool terms, is "Christmas Lights" by Coldplay.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really nice Christmas song.
Fine.
And actually, it's one of those things where it's quite hard to be a new thing that enters like the pantheon of like Christmassy things.
Yeah.
And that's only like a 5-year-old song.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a Christmas song.
I don't know whether I'm being more or less controversial. This will totally depend on the person that sat opposite me, and I don't know this. But I feel very much the same way about that Darkness one.
Oh, yeah.
That was like them consciously writing a new Christmas song, and I like it.
Do you know my wife's mum, or my mother-in-law, is an extra in the video from that song?
I did not know that. So I played to the right audience there. But no, I don't mind that. And actually, what I was trying to do in my band at the time, and I know we only got to do one, was like, let's just knock out a Christmas song every year. It doesn't have to be the new Wizard or the new Slade.
Yeah.
But like, why not? And this has been very freeform. So originally we were going to talk about these 5 Christmas films that
we're talking about Christmas.
Yeah, but I want
Christmas
to kind of
media.
divert into Christmas media a little bit because I know this is just in the last couple of years been possible through things like DLC, but it makes me think of things like computer games, like they're the next piece of media that really haven't quite yet succumbed to the idea of having like, what game makes you feel Christmassy? Because I think for most people, it's whatever just came out. So it will be it'll be Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty. Like they're the big like Christmas. They come out every October to be bought as presents. But I wonder if as DLC becomes more prevalent, and I know Overwatch do things like Christmas maps and things like that.
GTA 5, like it's all snowy and stuff.
Yeah, and whether that becomes a bigger thing, and actually the younger generation is going to grow up with what makes them feel Christmassy is when the GTA maps start snowing.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Yeah, but quite a nice one. Like as much as there's a lot about.
Because I have like a weird random memory of like Killzone 1 on the PlayStation 1. I got for Christmas, and I after when you're a kid and like after Christmas dinner is done, Christmas is basically dead to you, and you like go to your room. I used to go to my room and play PlayStation. So like I've got like a weird link in my brain between Killzone 1 and like Christmas.
No, I think a lot of people do. I mean, like it's just those things you've got as formative presents. So I got my SNES for Christmas, joint with my brother, who's quite a few years older than me, but I was 4. And we got it as a joint present for Christmas. So he was 13 and I was 4, so I was much younger. But that was a Christmas gift. So everything so that means things like Street Fighter 2 and Mega Man X became inextricably with Christmas. Yeah. But then it became weird things like I got London Calling by The Clash as a Christmas present. So to me, that kind of became a Christmas record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of, I guess, neatly segues into what you were saying about films and about whether Christmas films are films about Christmas or whether they're films that are set in Christmas or whether they're films that make you feel Christmassy. And I think all of those are valid. But for you, what is a Christmas film?
That's a big question to answer. But like I say, just very briefly go back to Jingle All The Way and just say it's a Christmas film because it's about Christmas, and
it ticks all of those boxes.
And it's shit. And it's shit. I know it's shit because,
Sorry, Arnie.
he doesn't talk about it in that book.
Does he not?
No.
It's his dirty little secret.
Yeah.
He talks about all the affairs he wants, but he won't talk about Jingle All The Way.
There's about a third of this book is like Miss Universe, then it's like Conan, then it's like Terminator, and then it's like government. So like, anyway. It's a shit film, but I like it because it's part of my Christmas package that I have for myself.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It's interesting that it is, though.
Yeah, I know, and I know it's bad, but like you're allowed to have guilty pleasures at Christmas because where else?
No, and I don't deny it as a guilty pleasure. I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like it's going to dominate the conversation. But my problem is that I watched it like willing it, like if it was Kindergarten Cop, which. I don't really believe in guilty pleasures anyway, but Kindergarten Cop is kind of one. Kindergarten Cop isn't a great film,
Hang on, what?
but it's charming and funny enough, and got a few quotable lines that are really like in our culture now.
Yeah.
That make it funny enough in context to be worthwhile. But Jingle All The Way, I just wish was at least that, but at Christmas.
Oh no, it's a poor movie.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't even go, oh well, at least it's Christmas, I'll stick this on. In the same way that I might, do you know what's that?
It's got Phil Hartman in it though.
What's that Christmas film with like Dudley Moore as the elf, and it's called like Christmas Day? No, what's the one? It's like one of those classic Santa Claus. Is it called Santa Claus the movie?
Santa Claus the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a terrible film, right? But it is so, I think, particularly for people of our generation, because it was kind of like, I think, like sort of 80s film, so we grew up with it. It's just so Christmassy, but also watchable enough in that naff kind of way that every year I kind of do watch it.
All right, so here's one for you.
Yeah.
The Santa Claus.
Well, this is really interesting.
Not on my list.
No.
Just so you
The
know.
Santa Claus is a film, I think, totally undone by its sequels. Because actually,
of which there are numerous. It's like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, and they're and I think it's the Santa Claus 3.
Underneath the Santa Claus. Beneath the Santa Claus.
That Mark Kermode famously described as tertiary syphilis, which is one of his all-time classics. The Santa Claus, I think, is fine and charming enough. And it's also got that... and I cut out my reference to The Fly in the last episode, but at some point I'm going to mention The Fly a lot because I love The Fly. There is almost this weird, like, Cronenbergian body horror element to the Santa Claus, where he starts transforming
weird, yeah.
and he keeps shaving and this beard still keeps growing in a way that quite appeals to me.
I mean, it's an okay film, but like I wouldn't say it's any better or worse than Jingle All The Way.
No, I think it's better than Jingle All The Way.
It ticks those boxes. Anyway,
I think it's a better film than Jingle All The Way.
If you were okay, if you were going to sit me down and go like your number one Christmas film,
yeah,
do that.
Number one.
Do that.
Am I got to ask you first, or am I telling you my number one?
What's your number one Christmas film?
It's a really, really, really hard question to answer.
I don't think
but
it is.
I think if I factor in everything, in terms of what I think is the best Christmas film, I'm going to give it to... It's an obvious answer, but I'm going to give it to It's a Wonderful Life. Okay.
I think that's fair. It's not mine, but what I would say is, so I hadn't seen... This is like a sort of movie file confession, but like I hadn't seen It's a Wonderful Life until like last year. Like everyone, you have your like top 5 Christmas films embedded from quite a young age, and I hadn't seen it, and pretty much a similar experience happened to me. It's like it's shot right up because I watched it, and I don't cry at films. Like the only film I remember, I cried at like Mufasa dying.
Okay, yeah.
Spoiler.
We could do a whole episode on films that made you cry.
But I was like 10 at the time or something. As an adult, I think the only film that's got me like close is like The Green Mile.
Okay.
But it wasn't even like the end of The Green Mile. It was literally like the bit where...
Sponge.
Just the bit where he's walking down. He's going like, yes, sir, boss. And he's really scared. Like, made me kind of go, oh, that's...
I guess you were still relatively young then. And it's one of those times that you first really start thinking
No,
about
but
if I was in that situation.
But I don't think I saw it when I think I saw it when I was, at least 18.
Yeah. But it's an empathetic thing, isn't it? Because you go,
Yeah.
wow, if I
Yeah.
was in that situation,
But I'm
I
not
would
a
be able to
crier. Like I didn't cry at my wedding. I'm not really a crier.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw It's a Wonderful Life for the first time last year, and I cried.
Yeah.
At the end of that film, because it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And it's one of those things where it obviously it's really, really good, and obviously it set the tone for a lot of Christmas films. But at the same time, it dishes out like the need for you to be empathetic in a way where you go, you can't watch that film and not go, oh God, I really hope I am George.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that this would happen to me because I hope I've been a nice person.
Yeah. And the worst thing is, and I think the things that really do trigger you crying it's that subconscious thing saying, I'm probably not. That's almost the thing that gets to you the most. Like, on a subconscious level, is like, oh, I don't want to be the baddie in this story. Like,
but it totally blindsided me as a film because I knew it was a big thing. It's a massive, like, again, I don't want to like big up the differences in like British and American traditions, but it's a massive American staple, and I don't think it's really permeated the UK as much as there as a Christmas movie.
Not as much.
No, I mean people know it, but like it's not like the Christmas film here, which is why I managed to avoid watching it for so long. Which is fucking brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Yeah.
So actually, you've summed up there why I picked it, and I think it's partially like I think my wife's reaction to it, watching it as an adult who had never seen it, that cemented that answer.
Yeah.
That I think I was weighing up lots of different things in my head, and it just is. I mean, I've got 3 favourite. I wrote down 5 because that's what we agreed we'd do. But I've got 3 favourites, all for slightly different reasons, and that's one of them. But I said that because I think it's probably objectively the best Christmas film.
I'd probably agree that objectively, as films go, like, and my acid test is always like, if aliens come down,
what do you give them?
What are you going to give them? Like, if they go, give me a Christmas film, here's It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, it is the best Christmas film on an objective level.
Good.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give your answer, or do you want me to give you my other answers?
I'll go. Well, we may feed into each other. Maybe not. I mean, no, maybe not actually, because I think my favourite Christmas film is not going to be yours. Mine is Muppets Christmas Carol.
It's in my 5, but it wasn't the 3.
So Muppets Christmas Carol, I think, is one of those films that solely because I know people who really love it, and I know people who've basically never watched it almost, and I think it.
Who are these people?
Or not never watched it, but like, oh yeah, whatever. I think it solely depends on if you watched Muppets Christmas Carol when you were a kid, as to whether you think it's like amazing.
Yeah.
So in my family, it was one of those VHSs that we had, and it was on every Christmas. And now, obviously, these days it's like whatever streaming service you have buys it up, and like from November 1st, and it's on there, and you can watch it whenever. But like, it was like a ritual for like Muppets going in December 1st almost. And there's so much Christmassiness, like just obviously it's a Christmas Carol, so it's like it's doing a Christmas story that has been around and it's the most Christmassy thing for a few hundred years.
I remember Ricky Gervais saying the best story ever written is A Christmas Carol, and how do you improve it? You put the Muppets in it.
Yeah, and it does that totally. I mean, it improves it almost perfectly, apart from the like slow, sappy song that they actually take out of the TV version of the film.
So, can I be like slightly controversial about Muppets Christmas Carol?
Go for it.
I really, really, really like it. It's in my top 5. I really, really like the Muppets. Generally, I'm a big Muppets fan.
Yep.
You know, from the Muppet Show to I've seen all of the Muppet films, even Muppet Wizard of Oz, which is terrible, but I've watched them all.
Yeah, it's bad, actually.
And I'm a big fan of all of them. I think Muppet Treasure Island is ridiculously underrated, which was the follow-up to Muppet Christmas Carol in terms of it was a post-Henson. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant Christmas film, and I think it's a really, really good Muppets film. I think, though, as I watch it as an adult and as a Muppets fan, there are things about it that I go, it's not perfect, because there are things I would change. And I think one big flaw that the film has got, and I know this is quite possibly controversial, is I love everything with Kermit. It's the best Muppets film for Kermit, actually, I think, in terms of his role. And Michael Caine as Scrooge is amazing. I think one of its big flaws is the three ghosts, which are a fundamental part of that story, but not making them proper Muppets,
yeah.
I think is a real problem. And actually, when it starts going into the Christmas Carol story, this might be blasphemy, I tend to get a bit bored. Like, I really love the beginning, and I really love Statler and Waldorf as what's his face, as the twin version of Marley and Marley.
Marley, yeah.
I love all that, and then when it actually gets into the main core of the film, I sort of tune out a bit and then join back for when it becomes really sad and Tiny Tim and all that stuff. I'm won over by that point. But there's that bit in the middle that it sort of stops being a Muppets film for quite a long while. It's Michael Caine going around with quite bad versions of all of those ghosts, and I don't know why it isn't just Ghost of Christmas Past is Sam Eagle or something, just make me entertained.
What I would agree with is that point, especially for the Ghost of Christmas Past, which is just a sort of CGI like
who is that
little child?
Yeah,
for no.
It's sort of creepy though, but I guess purposefully.
I think it was more like CGI is a thing.
Is that an uncanny valley
that we can use? And they did that, and actually that is the point where the film really like grinds to a halt. And as I said, so there is a song that happens in the past bit between him and his then fiance where she's going, "Oh, we're not going to get married, so I'm going to break up with you." And actually, if you watch it on TV, most of the time that song is cut.
Yep.
And rightly, because it really grinds the thing.
See, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I didn't know that was cut. And I don't know how many times I've seen it with that song versus without. And it would be really interesting to do an actual comparison and see how much that grinds the pace down.
It's a dull song as an adult. So if you're a kid, you're really like slipping in your interest.
Because I'm way more open to songs full stop as an adult.
But the Come In and Know Me Better Man, like Ghost of Christmas Present, is a Muppet guy, not an established one. And I guess you were saying, why isn't it like Big Bird?
It's not just that he's not established. Like, I even like the new Muppets they threw in the Muppets, the new one. I say new, a couple of years ago now. But he just, I don't find him entertaining as a Muppet character. Like, I don't mind the idea of it being something new and going, we're going to create a new Muppet to be these ghosts. But in the same way they did with Statler and Waldorf in making them Marley, like, there's fun things they could have done within those that actually made them entertaining.
But then to me, that guy by himself, as that section of the film transcends it into like Christmas film, gives it legendary status, because there is just that whole section is so joyously Christmassy, and that song that they sing in the middle, which is like it's Christmas every day in your heart kind of thing, is so just like relentlessly Christmassy that I can't stop smiling when that's happening. Even though that guy, I've never seen him before as a Muppet character, it's just fun, and I don't mind it being a non-Muppet for the Ghost of Christmas Future, because it's meant to be scary and weird.
No, the future's okay. Actually, the future's the one time that I don't mind that, because the whole idea of when you go into Ghost of Christmas Future is it goes dark and odd,
and it does, and it's quite scary for a kids' film.
Kind of okay. That's fair. Actually, I'm actually more talking about the other two. You're right. I think the bit where it goes dark and scary is totally fair for the story.
It's only about 5 seconds long anyway, really. It's a couple of minutes of like, oh, he's dead, and then they go to the group. Like, it's fine.
And I appreciate your defence of it, and I don't want to sound like I'm attacking it, because I love it. It was in my top 5 Christmas films ever. So this now feels like I'm going, it's a terrible Christmas film. I don't think that at all. I think it's really great. But I don't get that same feeling from that section that you do. I get that almost more from the opening song than I do from that bit.
With all the melons and the mice.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And it just doesn't. Maybe it's Muppet Christmas Carol has a really odd place in terms of Muppet fans as well, because the Muppets, as you were saying about as you were saying about It's a Wonderful Life, don't have quite the same cachet in this country as they do in America. Because we never really got the Muppet Show in the same way. And also Sesame Street, as much as we all remember it, we also had our own kid shows, whereas the Sesame Street was so groundbreaking over there. So I think it was much more formative for just people's lives.
I remember watching Sesame Street.
No, we all watched it. We all watched it, but for us, it was one of a plethora of really well-crafted educational TV shows.
Like that was the TV show.
It invented that genre
Yeah.
of making entertaining TV shows for kids that were also really educational but funny.
Yeah.
And we had quite a lot of those. We were quite spoiled in this country. And so we don't have quite the same connection with the Muppets. And actually, there was quite a strong reaction against Muppets Christmas Carol when it first came out, because it was the first post-Henson. So it was the first where a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is Kermit imposter voice. That's not Henson. And it's like, oh, it all was downhill. And I've always thought that was quite unfair. So in terms of being on the internet, I've often been like a defender of it. And then even more so Treasure Island, which even people in this country turned off, and I think is really worth a rewatch because it's not Christmassy and fuzzy in that way. And yeah, it's got Kevin Bishop in it, but I didn't know that till I was an adult. But it's got really, really funny songs, and it's got like amazing Apocalypse Now gags in it,
right?
And it's just like really fun.
I'm even a proponent of like Muppets in Space or Muppets,
Muppets in Space. Well,
Muppets really funny
until the new reboot. Muppets in Space was the last good Muppets film. I think it's really funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. What I would say about my last kind of gambit about Christmas Carol is it just warms my heart that Michael Caine really loves it. Like, because I
always
not
snotty about it.
I grew up thinking he would be snotty about it, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I did that for a paycheck or whatever," and he really loves it.
Yeah,
which adds to the magic.
Yeah,
and I would say, yeah, I know it's not the best, but because it was just part of my youth and I had it on VHS, it is. Yeah. It is my favourite.
That's fair. I want to have one more quick thing that I'm going to say about Muppets Christmas Carol, or Christmas Carol generally, because it is the perfect Christmas story.
Yes, sure.
And this is something that didn't occur to me until this conversation. I didn't write down, I didn't include as a film because it's not a film. But I think there's something for me might be holding me back on the Muppets Christmas Carol in that it's not my favourite version of a Christmas Carol. So, and I never really put this, that attitude and this opinion together.
Your favourite is?
My favourite is the Blackadder Christmas Carol.
Fair, yeah.
Which I'm a big Blackadder fan. I'm a big kind of British sitcom fan. I just think is one of the most perfectly crafted pieces of television I've ever seen. So if you haven't seen it, you have to go and see it. But this isn't a spoiler, but it essentially is a reverse telling of that story. So he starts off as good and kind Ebenezer Scrooge, who everyone loves, and then these go to visit him that give him flashbacks of how he could have lived his life if he was more mean. And then at the end thinks, oh, actually, I should be Blackadder. And it is so brilliantly judged and so funny. And I watched it probably too young to understand half of it, but I still watched it very young. And to me, that is still the go-to Christmas Carol.
Whereas for me, I feel like Muppets was basically my first introduction to a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and probably the Muppets and Christmas.
Probably the Muppets,
fair, which I think is
as a kid of the 80s. Yeah.
As a part of the fact that this is a Christmas special, we are drinking. I mean, we drink quite a lot of wine, more than you would think in some of our other episodes. But this is.
I'm pissed.
This is the most full-on.
It's Quimbo. Fine, then we'll work.
I'm in Australia, mate. It's the culture.
Then we'll work until tomorrow. So
I've got some other films.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm going to get one out that wasn't in my top 3. So I just want to throw it out just so I get all these mentioned.
All right.
And it's Gremlins.
Okay. It's not in my list.
Okay. So, I mean, it's one of those ones that often gets battered about a bit with something like Die Hard, as in terms of, isn't it a Christmas film? But it's set at Christmas. I actually think Gremlins is much more deserving than that ambiguity. The whole point of the story is that Gizmo is a Christmas gift. I think there is that amazing part in the film where she's talking about her father dying on Christmas. I think it really is properly a Christmas film. But what makes it good isn't its Christmassiness. I think it's just a really funny horror caper comedy film that has some great Christmassy moments in it and is one of my favourite Christmas films for that reason. But it didn't get into my top 3 because I think what makes it good isn't its Christmassiness. It's its good horror comedy-ness.
Okay, you're going to get quite shit Gremlins chat out of me because
Have you not seen Gremlins?
No, I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it for about 15 years. And it's like just not in my list of like those Christmassy films.
That's fine. So I didn't want to talk about it too much anyway. That's why it wasn't in that top 3 that I was undecided about. I would recommend you rewatch it over this Christmas and watch it when it's really Christmassy because it is quite Christmassy. Yeah. And I think the more you buy into it as a Christmas film, the more enjoyable it is. And actually, Gremlins 2 is really underrated. It's not Christmassy at all, but is actually quite good fun. So to jump into what the other ones were my top 3, so I'm going to say one other one, which has at times led us down tangents that I don't want to go down. I think there's probably another whole video in the potential tangent here, but I want to stick to this film specifically rather than going down that road.
Right.
I think you're going to know what I'm going to say based on that, is A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes, okay.
So we've had lots of discussions about the pros and cons of Tim Burton over the years, and I think that's probably something we're going to need to capture on video at some point. And I don't want to talk too widely about it as a Tim Burton film. I kind of want to stick to it as a film in its own right.
Yeah.
In some ways, is my favourite Christmas film. In terms of my favourite film that is properly a Christmas film that I will enjoy watching. Like, if we were to put on a film now of all of these films to just sit down and watch with this glass of wine, for me would be A Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay. And I would also watch it when it isn't Christmas. I know there is some debate about whether it's a Halloween film versus a Christmas film, but it's very much about the move into Christmas. Yeah. It's about people that aren't Christmassy discovering Christmas.
Well, I mean, you kind of go, once Halloween is over, people kind of, the shops start having their Christmas displays and it all starts going that way anyway.
And the Halloween stuff is important to the story and the plot and the visuals, but it's not important as a Christmas film in terms of it's about people that don't understand Christmas, trying to get their head around Christmas. So the fact that it could be Halloween, I know the fact that it's the dark twistedness, but it's like, I don't understand what this thing is, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm getting it wrong because Halloween seems the most opposite to Christmas. It wouldn't work if it was Easter.
No, but it's kind of a retelling of the Grinch story in a lot of ways, isn't it? It's that kind of like Christmas is alien to me and now I love it, and then eventually I love it kind of thing, which in itself is a Christmas Carol. Again,
but it actually has a really interesting angle, and one of the reasons I really love it is because of its conclusion. And spoilers for A Nightmare Before Christmas, but if you've not seen A Nightmare Before Christmas, then just go on another video because that's just weird. Is that it obviously takes its cues from A Night Before Christmas, the poem, and was written as a poem by Tim Burton first, and has Grinch elements totally, and has Christmas Carol elements, but I actually think creates its own proper Christmas myth with its own conclusion its own moral.
I think if you're our age, I think that's fair to say that it was like the new sort of Grinchy thing, like as in I mean, again, this is another like sort of American English thing. But like obviously in America, the Grinch, as in like the old cartoon version of the Grinch, was a big deal. And
in America,
and the Grinch here wasn't a big deal until like the Jim Carrey thing.
Dr. Zeus, actually, I know we had a bit of One Fish, Two Fish, and Cat in the Hat as books, but not really. It's not. It hasn't had that same penetration here as it has in America.
So the Grinch in the UK really was only on people's radar in a big way when like the Jim Carrey film came out. I think that's fair to say. And so But yeah, if you were our age, I feel like you grew up and then like the Nightmare Before Christmas came out and was that story for us.
But I actually, but my point is beyond that. Is I think it's a unique enough story, you know. And I know it plays those. It's more of a Tim Burton story in that sense. But the ending is kind of accepting that the answer would traditionally be, "Oh, Christmas has warmed our hearts," but it isn't. The conclusion of Nightmare Before Christmas is, you know, you are what you are. It's Popeye, you know. It's actually, I was trying to be something else because I wasn't happy with who I am, but who I am is okay.
Yeah.
And it isn't, let's just be Christmassy because Christmas is nice. It's like, oh, Christmas is nice if you're a Christmassy person. But I'm a Halloween person.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be happy in my own skin. And that's what I mean in terms of it's its own moral and it's its own story. And it isn't just going, oh, we're going to do a spooky Burton twist on this other story. I actually think it stands up in its own right. Not only that,
I think that's fair, and also it was the, you know, it had that the animation style that was kind of quite daring at the time.
Yeah.
With it being actual animation and different.
So that's my other points about just as a film, you know, regardless of your opinion on Tim Burton, either then or now, the animation is stunning. The design is, you know, if you're just going to pick, it's not actually directed by Tim Burton, but if you're going to pick a film that kind of just did what he does best, it's based on his drawings, it's based on his story. It's unique looking but stunning to look at. The animation is amazing. Danny Elfman's score and the songs, I mean, there are very few modern musicals that are really great, but pretty much every song in Nightmare Before Christmas is like a classic musical that you could sing. You could put on the Nightmare Before Christmas record now and just be like, that is a great musical Christmassy album, you know, with things like What's This and like they're like proper Kidnap the Sandy Claus and all that stuff. The Boogeyman, they're just all brilliant songs.
And I think to like, because we don't want to get into the Tim Burton talk, but like to distill just one part of it. This film is Tim Burton, like in sort of a pure chrysalis kind of like way, and it's the perfect example of it. Yeah, and it's only through like repeat and strange.
Yeah. And I think where we might, I don't know if you're surprised here, but where we might agree in terms of Tim Burton-isms is him trying to repeat that success with Corpse Bride and totally, in my opinion, falling on his arse.
That's a really bad film.
He didn't understand even himself, I think, what was good about A Nightmare Before Christmas, and that was his own undoing. And I think that's become his undoing. Yeah. It's not something I want to get onto too deep, but I want you to know that I don't. I'm not just what you to know. I'm not a big fan of The Corpse Bride, and I think that only. I think people are. But Nightmare Before Christmas as a Christmas film and as a film in its own right, I still really love, and is one of my 3 favourite Christmas films for different reasons.
Okay, so shall we talk about the Christmas film that I reckon is on both our lists, which features a young Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. I mean, it does, yeah. That's one of the other 3.
And that is one of the ones where a lot of people I know say it's not Christmas until I watch Home Alone. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about Home Alone?
I mean, I absolutely love Home Alone, and there are elements. You say young Macaulay Culkin as if there's another.
There's the weird punk band, pizza band Macaulay Culkin.
Oh no, they do.
They do some covers of songs, but with pizza.
By the Velvet Underground.
They do covers of songs.
Aren't they like the Pizza Underground? So they do Velvet Underground songs, but about pizza.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because of course, why wouldn't you? And I look forward to the kid who plays Will in Stranger Things being in a band very similar to that in his.
But I mean, Macaulay Culkin. I don't want to go too off topic. What's the? I know there are lots of Culkin brothers, but there's one who's really great. Who's in Igby Goes Down, and he's like one of the best things in Scott Pilgrim as well.
Yes, he was in Follow the Bride as the little kid as well.
Yeah. I think he's in Home Alone maybe as like a really little kid. Or maybe in Home Alone 2.
He's like
the baby brother
or cousin or something. Yeah. It's quite hard. Obviously, it's intentionally hard.
Kieran Culkin is him. There's a lot of them.
Is he still acting?
I don't know. Well, he was in Scott Pilgrim. I'm naming that as a recent film. That's like 4 years ago.
He was his roommate, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually, he's one of the best things. I'm a fan of that film, but he's really.
Yeah, it's a great film. I'm glad if he's like escaped the McCulkin trap. Obviously, it's difficult being a kid star and then not going insane.
Have you seen Igby Goes Down?
No.
Oh, I'd really recommend it. It's like a kind of weird teen comedy with Kieran Culkin in the lead. And he's really, really good in it.
Okay.
He's a brilliant actor.
Anyway,
but Macaulay Culkin, I don't want to take away. I think sometimes people treat like good kid actors as a double-edged sword. Like to be a good kid actor is just fluke, and you're not good.
No, I don't believe that at all.
No, I'm not saying you do, but that is a thing, isn't it? And I think Macaulay Culkin is amazing in Home Alone, and I can see why it was just like money signs in every film studio's eyes of like. How old is he like in that, like 10, 11?
Maximum
as an actor?
12 maximum.
Yeah.
Playing 8, you know, as films do. But like, this is the thing, because we've done an episode about Stranger Things and how everyone loves the kids in that, and they're about 12, 13 or whatever. And it just makes you think, like, you know, you've seen the original Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
And you just go, what went so badly wrong there?
That's a controversial opinion.
And
anyway.
No, it's not controversial because even Harry Potter fans know that they're not good actors. Those kids
at the beginning.
Yeah,
they develop okay.
They're not
two
good
of them.
Actors. They're not good actors.
This is still a I might cut some of this out just because I don't want to go too much on a Harry Potter tangent. Although they're kind of Christmas films to a new generation.
To a lot of people.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. I actually think the Harry Potter kids to say they're not good actors is more controversial than you think.
I don't think it is. I think most people will agree that they are quite poor.
I don't think you're right there. I don't know. I don't disagree with you. I don't think you're right in terms of popular opinion.
Rupert Grint can act. Daniel Radcliffe is basically like me on film. Like, as in, he has that
I don't
want
to go too much. I feel like I could talk for a long time because I don't think they're bad. And I think in a weird way, they're quite lucky with Harry Potter. They sort of cast people that they're not versatile, but they just fit those things so well.
Okay. Either way.
We might mention Harry Potter later because I just want to throw them in the ring.
To sort of wrap around edit, but like, yeah, Macaulay Culkin at a young age he had stage presence. Like
he's like Harrison Ford, aged 11.
Yeah, he could really he could like chew the scenery and like he'd hold the scene.
Yeah.
And I can totally see why they wanted to ride that for as much as it was worth. But that first film was like bottled lightning, basically, because everything about it was really well executed.
Yeah.
It feels like almost accidentally so.
But then having said that, you know, Chris Columbus, who directed that film and then went on to direct the first 2 Harry Potter films, which are the bad ones, and various other things. And he's got this reputation in Hollywood as being a great producer and as a money man. Like, he's not an auteur. He's like ultimate. Like, he sums up a bean counter in Hollywood terms. But actually, with Home Alone, it made massive money. I think it was at the time. It might even still be, or was there something that broke this record? But was the biggest earning comedy film of all time ever at the box office.
Oh, right.
Ever at the time.
I mean, comedy is a strange term.
Nowadays, I don't know whether you're like, well, Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor.
Yeah. It's a comedy film. So,
Watch our last video on Thor.
It's not our last video, but by the time Christmas rolls around. Watch our Thor video. Watch our Thor video for our thoughts on Thor Ragnarok.
It's well good. So I think that's changed a bit then, but I do definitely remember reading at some point that was the highest grossing comedy film ever made. Yeah,
well, it doesn't surprise me because we're talking about a film that had a sequel that, like, in the early days of product placement, had the most product placement of anything ever. You know, with that Talk Boy thing. Like, that was just like a device to sell
and Donald
toys.
Trump.
Donald Trump.
Trump is in it.
But no, the first one is a great magical little like Christmas film that ticks all those Christmas boxes and makes you feel cozy and makes you feel like, I love my family and like all that kind of stuff.
But it's got a couple of great bits that when I watched it as an adult, I was like, I'd never appreciated this bit as being brilliant when I was a kid, and that struck me the most is the stuff with John Candy. as the jazz
polka
musician.
drive,
Yeah,
the polka musician. Yeah.
And I kind of, when I was a kid, I kind of just thought, oh yeah, that's like that guy that's in some other films that I don't like as much, and sort of drifted past it. And I rewatched it as an adult. I was like, this guy steals the film in this like one little scene.
Yeah.
Like he's so brilliant and warm and funny, like to an adult. That's like, wow, this film works on so many levels.
Another thing is if you then grow up and you watch Joe Pesci in Goodfellas,
yeah,
and then you go back and go, this is the funny Hal like shoe shine box guy.
And actually, I think a lot of critics, maybe at the time, and then maybe even older critics now, don't fully appreciate this enough. Is that the gag is they got this famous gangster actor to be, in this kids film. Like that's almost the joke. What they've not realised in the subsequent years is that we knew that was Joe Pesci or Joe Pesci for us. Joe Pesci for us before he was I'm Funny How,
Yeah. Because we were the kids.
Yeah,
like,
and to every kid since 1991
yeah.
is going to be introduced to Joe Pesci through Home Alone.
And then you watch Goodfellas, and then you go, that's the funny burglar guy, and now he's like beating someone to death.
Yeah, the gag is the other way around.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't think weakens it. I think it works either way.
But this is what's weird about Home Alone as well. In a I was going to say in a way that like doesn't exist anymore, but obviously things like Stranger Things exist now. But there is that area of like marketability of a film that the late 80s, early 90s was much more experimental about, where like a film is for kids but is a bit more adult than kids and kind of has that like kind of weird area around, because there's quite a lot of violence in this film and stuff that if it was released now for kids.
Well, this is a kid's version of Straw Dogs.
Foot through the nail, and like iron on the face and stuff. So that's it's slapstick, but at the same time, if you're doing it now, I feel like a lot of studios would, well, maybe not now, maybe a few years ago, because obviously we're getting into the right territory now. But a few years ago, it'd be like, this has to be a like rated for everyone like movie, and there's no violence, and it's very like comedic and slapstick.
Yeah, well, actually, I think you're right, and I think there was a period, perhaps in the mid to late 90s, and I think this might be another whole discussion about kids' movies, where there was a real lull in quality kids films for a long, long time. And I think that was true. There was this real division. And I think a part of that was in terms of a lot of animated films pre-Pixar, so those late Disney films. What they would do is they'd be like, oh, here's a little cheeky gag about The Godfather, but it all has to be squeaky clean. But which is
where Pixar made headlines.
Yeah.
Because everyone went, oh my God, this is a film you can take your kids to, and also you like it.
Yeah,
like,
but the genius about Pixar, and I was going to mention Pixar, as you're probably not surprised to know, Pixar changed it, because the way Pixar changed it wasn't like Shark's Tale, where it was like, oh, here's a little joke about Goodfellas for the adults, here's a bluey for the dads.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. The great thing about the best Pixar films is that the kids and the adults laugh at the same joke. Like, it isn't like, oh, here's a joke for the mums and here's a joke for the kids. It's just like, no, this is just a funny film.
Yeah.
And the kids and the adults all go, ha, that was a funny line.
And then if you're a kid, you like unlock new levels of joke.
And it really taps into that thing as a kid as well. Is there anything more exciting as it, like the whole, when you watch that as an adult, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe like a kid has been left alone in this situation. As a kid, that is total wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like even something as simple as him going to the supermarket and buying washing powder.
Yeah.
Was just like,
oh,
this blows my mind.
Well, I mean, I just remember, there's a bit where he like has his like battle plans and he rolls out that bit of paper, and it's like that when you are a kid and you watch that, you go, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Like, imagine decking out your house.
This is the best thing that could happen to me.
With a battle plan. Yeah. I wish this was it. I wish this would happen to me. Yeah.
But that's the really great thing about the story, is that he goes through that journey as well. At that point, that is Kevin's. That's the best thing that could have ever happened to him. Yeah. But then he sort of misses his mum. As I think you really would.
It has enough heart, and it's weird because it's like we live in a world where there are films now like Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah.
And it's like they're ticking that like the slapstick box, but like it makes me kind of cry a little bit that
in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, and it's just there's no like there's that kind of heart that. And I don't think it's just nostalgia.
In terms of Christmas films, we've gone through mine then. So my top three were, just because we've spoken about them all, my top three were Nightmare Before Christmas, Home Alone, and It's a Wonderful Life. All joint for different reasons.
Okay, so I guess that leaves The Elephant in the Room, which is one I didn't really want to talk about because... I did want to talk about it, obviously, but like
you always want to talk about it.
Because I'm a narcissist.
I already know what it is.
I just want to hear my own voice about
I already know what it is.
Well, this is the thing. So
because I know this guy.
So this is the thing about Die Hard. Is I think the internet will want to tell you that they are the first person to believe that like Die Hard is a Christmas film. Did you know Die Hard is a Christmas film?
Did you know Die Hard is a Christmas film?
Did you know Die Hard is a Christmas film?
Did you know Die Hard's a Christmas film?
So I'm not that person. I watched Die Hard for the first time when I was like 13, maybe, or 12, 13. And,
okay.
And watched it a lot since then. And the whole world then shouting Die Hard is a Christmas film has kind of made it more of a Christmas film to me.
Let's put it on your list.
No, but it's made it more... Yeah, it's made it more of a Christmas film than me going, do you know, it's a Christmas film.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Christmas film because everyone says it's a Christmas film more than it is because I thought it was a Christmas film. If that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Like, I'm not the first guy to go, it's a Christmas film. No. Like, it's like me saying, did you know Muppets Christmas Carol was a Christmas film?
So what you're saying is, you've never really thought of it as a Christmas film.
No.
But it's one of your favourite films. And now the internet has decreed
the whole world
it is a Christmas film.
Yeah.
Because it's one of your favourite films. It's like suddenly if someone was like, said to me, oh, did you know that that Alien is a Christmas film?
Yeah.
Convinced me, I would be like, oh yeah, that's now my favourite Christmas film. If the whole world
told you that one of your favourite films ever was a Christmas film, you'd be like, all right, I'll watch it at Christmas.
But
and so that's basically what happened. I know
the slight difference is, it is a Christmas film.
No, I know. And
I've always sort of bought it as a Christmas film.
No, I know. And it is set at Christmas, but it's never
But it's not just set at Christmas, because there are a lot of films that know they're going to come out in that window, so they go, let's throw a Christmas tree in the background.
No, it's properly set at Christmas.
It's about the fact that it's Christmas.
No, I know. But
to unpick your...
No, I know.
And I know you love it more than I do, and I love Die Hard.
But I love it... I've always loved it just as an experience in sort of the action genre. So I'm a contrarian here because I'm saying like it's in my top Christmas films. But it's like because everyone's gone, it's in your Christmas film box, like because it's one of my favourite films ever, and it is a Christmas film. But like I'm sick of people going, hey, did you know that it's a Christmas movie? The reason I love Die Hard is far more encompassing than that, and there will be a video about that very soon.
Very soon.
Maybe even before this. There will be a video about that thing. I'd actually say Die Hard 2 is probably a more Christmassy film than Die Hard 1.
It's more consciously,
because there's more snowiness about it.
But it's way not as good.
No, way not as... Not underrated, but way not as good.
Is it underrated?
It's underrated.
It's worse than 3.
I have a different opinion to you on that.
We'll do a whole video on that. Watch this space.
But...
I don't care enough, actually. I think Die Hard 2 and 3 are both quite poor, but 3 is slightly less poor than 2. But 1 is still great fun.
I'll do an essay.
Wait until the new one, where the young John McClane...
Die Hard 17, where young John McClane with hair, who's played by Tom Holland... But yeah, that's my thoughts on Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie, but it's one of my favourite movies. It's not one of my favourite Christmas movies.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got a mutual top 2.
Which are... It's a Wonderful Life.
And Home Alone.
Yeah, fine. So we can still be mates.
No, yeah, we're still. So yeah, you put Die Hard very much in the similar category that I would Gremlins in terms of Gremlins is more Christmassy even than Die Hard, I think.
Yeah.
But I really love it, and in some ways I prefer it to some of the other films, but it isn't. The joy I get from it isn't Christmassy specific joy. So that's why I put the other films ahead of it.
Yeah.
And you'd say the same about Die Hard.
Yeah.
So Die Hard would be one of your favourite films ever, but the joy you get from it isn't the Christmassiness.
No, exactly.
It's something else.
Yeah.
So if we want to give a through line and a conclusion to this video...
Jesus, it's been a long time coming. If you're still here, there's something mentally wrong with your head.
No, it's just us rewatching this. No one else is watching this. It's Christmas! I mean, why...
Be with your family, or unless your family is really bad, in which case I'm sorry for...
Come on. Yeah, true. And also, you've got the last ever non-Chris Chibnall run Doctor Who today. So watch that, because even if it's shit, you don't know what you've got. Is there any way we could resolve Home Alone versus It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah, I think I'll tell you how we resolve that. And it is my age-old aliens come down. What are you going to give them?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. If they say, show me a Christmas film.
So you're
And it's the ultimate test for everything.
Yeah. So the way you normally ask this to me is aliens come down and they're going to destroy the planet.
Yeah, they're going to destroy the planet and they go, give us a Christmas movie.
It's got to be It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, obviously.
So I hate the fact that we've got such a obvious... But then would Home Alone be less obvious? Not really. Everyone knows that Home Alone is one of the greatest Christmas films. That neither of these are controversial.
If we give them Home Alone, they'd be like, huh! Ken.
Yeah. And also, I feel like Home Alone needs cultural... Like, the fact that you can watch It's a Wonderful Life a couple of years ago, or I can show my wife It's a Wonderful Life last year, like, I feel like Home Alone might need the context of where comedy and kids' films were in 1990.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like It's a Wonderful Life is like, it doesn't matter when you were born or where you're from, there's something in it that
my first viewing being 2016 has proved to me that it is a timeless thing. And if I'm not a judge, then who the fuck is?
Yeah. And I would say this to the people watching, because It's a Wonderful Life is something that I think I watched it first when I was like 15. So again, not that young. Like, it wasn't a nostalgic thing. And I've watched, and I didn't love it then. I kind of thought I should. But it's subsequent viewings to be like, no, this is great.
I actually think you need to be a grown-up.
I think so. It's a grown-up.
I think you need to have like had the pressures of like having like rent to pay and like
I imagine that it's a film
and like stuff you don't actually like believe in.
Yeah, I imagine it's a film that, particularly in America, a lot of young children are made to watch throughout Christmas. And if they're very honest, which a lot of them won't be, but if they're very honest, their early Christmas memories is being a bit bored watching It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. And then one year, maybe 13, 14, the first year they've done a paper round or something, there's 1 year that they'll be forced to watch it and suddenly they'll be like, shit, I understand life.
I understand life isn't great.
Yeah, and It's a Wonderful Life has suddenly spoken to me. So not only as a Christmas film, but just as a film in terms of something that conveys the human experience is worth giving to an alien. And that is always going to put it above Home Alone.
So what we're saying is, the ultimate Christmas film is It's a Wonderful Life, as long as you're above the age of 13.
And we're assuming these aliens are. Because I don't think you could develop full interstellar travel if you're younger than 13.
No, that's fair.